It appeared by the amount of views that we got that my audience really enjoyed my last video, which was filmed quite a while ago, about our time spent in England when we went from South Africa to work in England. It was 20 years ago. And so I decided to tell you another funny story today, but it's actually not my story to tell. So it's Peter's story. So I'm going to let him tell you. Peter, come and join us.
Thanks for the invite.
Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my husband, Peter, and he's going to tell you a bit about, first of all, our jobs on the estate.
Well, you did obviously you did all the house cooking and the organising the household and whatever went with that.
Organising parties and dinners.
And long parties and dinners. And I was involved in, you name it, I did it. I was a chauffeur in the Porsche. I looked after the dogs. I did the mowing of all the lawns. I did help on the golf course with the man, our boss, Charles, had his own 9-hole golf course, so I helped work on that and any repair work required. And anyway, that's a long story. But on this,
so you were busy.
Yeah, so we had this long weekend where Charles's group of friends, about half a dozen of them and their wives, all came for the golf day, which was on I think it was the Friday. And then that night was a dinner, and then the next day the men were going off shooting to a friend of Charles's in another gorgeous estate about 40 minutes drive away. And the ladies were going with, and while the men were shooting, they were going to just have a party. So anyway, the next day dawned, and they all went off, and then just before they left, Charles came to me and said, "Peter, we've got a bit of a problem. Carol, a bit of a late sleeper, doesn't want to go early with all the other ladies and us, so could you..."
Do you think she'd had too many G&Ts the night before?
Who knows, possibly. Anyway, so he said, "Would you mind, when she's ready to go, pick her up, take her in the Porsche and bring her to the party."
Naturally in the Porsche.
Obviously.
Wouldn't go in any other car, would
No,
you?
there was another BMW, but he liked the Porsche to be used. Anyway, and I drove the Porsche anyway. So next morning, when Carol was finally ready, she said, "Peter, I'm ready to go now." I said, "Look, good, let's get going." So off we went, and it was about, as I say, a 40-minute drive.
What was that like, driving with a relative stranger?
Well, no, she was very chatty and sweet and friendly, and so it was no problem at all. I said to her, "Listen, I'm not too sure exactly." Well, as it turned out, we got a bit lost because I had no GPS or anything like that to work with, and so I said, I'm sorry about taking so long." She said, "Peter, don't worry, I'm enjoying the drive and enjoying the company as well." So I thought, okay, she seems happy.
Oh, goodness.
So I'm happy.
No wonder you were able to get out of the car with your big head.
Eventually we found the estate. We entered the gates, and my goodness, we drove up this long driveway surrounded by stables on the right, horses and all the rest of it. Came to this big circular driveway, at the far side of which was a mansion. And so I drove up to the door and got out and rang the doorbell and said, "Hi, I'm just bringing one of the guests here to the parties." And the housekeeper said to me, "It's not here, it's across the other side of the drive there in the entertainment center." So I said, "Okay, no problem." So I drove to the other side, got out and let her out of her door, opened the door for her, obviously. And then I led up.
What a gentleman.
Well, that's my job, wasn't it? And so up the stairs we went, walked into this room to be confronted with about at least half a dozen of these ladies, very much all ladies. And Carol walked in, and the hostess, I can't remember her name, I think it was Ruth maybe, I can't remember, her name doesn't matter. She went up to Carol and said, "Hello, darling, I see you, did you wake up finally? I'm glad you're here." At which Carol then said, "Can I just introduce Peter, ladies?" So whereupon the hostess rushed up to me, put her arms around me, gave me a kiss and said, "Welcome to our house." Carol said, No, Ruth, Peter's not my husband or my partner. He's the chauffeur that brought me." All the ladies burst out into peals of laughter, screams of laughter. The hostess looked totally embarrassed and eventually started laughing herself. So that was all very funny and very embarrassing because, you know, here I am, the chauffeur, being given hug and kiss by the lady of the estate. Anyway, after it all settled down, I then left the party, got into the car, and I was, because I was running late to get back to my jobs on our estate, put my foot down, and to my absolute horror, was screaming up a hill, and I got stopped, and I got a nice big traffic fine, which I was very peeved about. Anyway, it's at 6 in the evening, the whole entourage, all the guys and the ladies came back from the other estate, arrived back, and they, by the sound of it, they'd all been having a few tiddles or toddles or tipples the whole afternoon. Anyway, they walked in, led by Charles, my boss, who then said, he said, he laughed, he said, "Peter, old chap, I believe you've been charming all the ladies today." And everybody, all the guys roared with laughter, and I gathered that my little embarrassment had been a subject of conversation after I'd left, so it was quite funny. Anyway, so I said to Charles, no, it was actually quite funny. I was a bit embarrassed, but also I enjoyed the whole experience. It made a change in my dull routine around here. Anyway, so that's the story. And
isn't it amazing that they found it so funny and so embarrassing because the chauffeur kissed the lady of the house? I mean, oh, good grief.
Well,
how posh can we get?
I was quite thrilled actually, because obviously my appearance was enough to fit in as one of the gents arriving, like a partner. So it was actually
in your head.
Yeah, they didn't see me as a chauffeur. They saw me.
In your head, you thought it.
No, they must have thought I looked like a guest, not a chauffeur. So
we hope that you enjoyed that story. That was when we were in England, when we spent our 3 years there working. We are professional people ourselves, but when we went to England, we decided we're going to have an absolute adventure and do domestic work, get into domestic service. And I hope you enjoyed that. We've got so many more funny stories, haven't we?
We have, that's for sure.
So from me, as always, sending big hugs to you, and bye-bye.
Bye from me as well, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that.